the electrician on the job site and your understanding of flexible conduit support requirements seem to differ, so let's clarify the code requirements for flexible metal conduit, often referred to as FMC, and liquid-type flexible metal conduit, or LFMC. The National Electrical Code, specifically Article 348.30 for FMC and Article 350.30 for LFMC, governs the support requirements for these types of conduit. The exact spacing and support methods depend on the size and application of the conduit. Firstly, let's address the strapping distance from termination points. The general rule for FMC and LFMC, according to the National Electrical Code, is that it must be securely fastened within 12 inches of each termination for sizes 1/4 inch and smaller. This means that the electrician's statement aligns with the code for these smaller sizes. However, your understanding of 24 inches might stem from older codes or specific interpretations that might not be universally applicable. Secondly, let's consider the support intervals after the initial termination point support. For FMC, if not installed in lengths longer than 6 feet and used for flexibility after equipment is connected, no further support is required. However, if the FMC is installed in lengths exceeding 6 feet, it must be supported at intervals not exceeding 1/2 feet. This is different than your understanding of every 48 inches, which is 4 feet. So, after the initial 12-inch support, continue supporting it at intervals of no more than 1/2 feet for runs longer than 6 feet. The code does not mandate 4-foot intervals, but it does allow it. Thirdly, for LFMC, the support requirements differ slightly depending on the trade size of the conduit. For trade sizes 3/8 through 1/4, it must be supported every 1/2 feet. For trade sizes 1/2 through 4, it must be supported every 5 feet. This again does not mandate the 4-foot intervals you mentioned, but it does allow it. So, after the initial 12-inch support, continue supporting it at intervals of no more than 1/2 or 5 feet depending on the size. Fourthly, when considering the exception for equipment connections, both FMC and LFMC offer an allowance for unsupported runs under specific conditions. If the conduit is used for flexibility after the equipment connection, the length does not exceed 6 feet, and the conduit is secured, it may not require additional support. This exception is commonly applied when connecting motors, lighting fixtures, or other equipment that may require movement or vibration. Fifthly, let's discuss wall penetrations as a substitute for a strap. The National Electrical Code does not explicitly state that a wall penetration automatically qualifies as an adequate substitute for a required support strap. The key requirement is that the conduit must be securely fastened and supported. While a penetration through a wall can provide some degree of support, it typically doesn't meet the definition of securely fastened unless it's specifically designed and installed to provide that level of support. Sixthly, to clarify further, a proper support system involves using appropriate straps, clamps, or hangers designed for the specific type and size of conduit. These supports should be installed in a manner that prevents movement, strain, or damage to the conduit and its conductors. The support must be robust enough to withstand the weight of the conduit, conductors, and any potential external forces. Seventhly, consider the following points when evaluating wall penetrations as support. Firstly, the penetration must be tight enough to prevent movement of the conduit within the wall. If there is any play or looseness, it does not qualify as a secure support. Secondly, the wall itself must be structurally sound enough to bear the weight and stress imposed by the conduit. A flimsy wall may not provide adequate support. Thirdly, the method of securing the conduit to the wall at the penetration point must be robust and reliable. Simply passing the conduit through a hole in a wall without any additional securing mechanism is not sufficient. Fourthly, inspect the penetration regularly to ensure that it remains secure and that the wall around the penetration point is not deteriorating or cracking. Eighthly, if the wall penetration does not meet the criteria for secure support, you must install additional straps or supports within the specified distances to comply with the code. It's always better to err on the side of caution and provide adequate support to ensure the safety and longevity of the electrical installation. Ninthly, let's review some best practices for installing and supporting flexible conduit. Firstly, always use the appropriate type and size of conduit for the application. Secondly, properly ream the cut ends of the conduit to remove any sharp edges that could damage conductors. Thirdly, use fittings that are listed and labeled for use with the specific type of conduit. Fourthly, ensure that all connections are tight and secure to prevent loosening due to vibration or movement. Fifthly, avoid overbending the conduit, as this can damage it and reduce its flexibility. Sixthly, use the correct type and size of straps or supports for the conduit. Seventhly, install supports in a manner that prevents movement, strain, or damage to the conduit and conductors. Tenthly, the local electrical inspector has the final say in interpreting and enforcing the National Electrical Code. If there is any doubt about whether a particular installation meets the code requirements, consult with the local inspector for clarification. The inspector can provide guidance on specific requirements in your area and help ensure that the installation is safe and compliant. 11thly, to address potential confusion, here's a breakdown of common misconceptions about flexible conduit support. One common misconception is that all flexible conduit requires support every 4 feet. While this may be a general guideline in some cases, the specific requirements depend on the type and size of conduit, as well as the application. Another misconception is that simply passing conduit through a hole in a wall constitutes adequate support. As discussed earlier, this is generally not the case unless the penetration is specifically designed and installed to provide secure support. Another misconception is that unsupported runs of flexible conduit are always acceptable for equipment connections. While the code does allow for unsupported runs under certain conditions, it's important to carefully review the requirements and ensure that the installation meets all applicable criteria. 12thly, in summary, the electrician on the job site is correct regarding the 12-inch support requirement near termination points for smaller sizes of flexible conduit. However, the 48-inch spacing you mentioned might not be universally applicable, as the code specifies different intervals depending on the type and size of conduit. Wall penetrations generally do not qualify as adequate substitutes for support straps unless they are specifically designed and installed to provide secure support. Always refer to the latest edition of the National Electrical Code and consult with the local electrical inspector to ensure compliance with all applicable requirements. Proper support of flexible conduit is essential for ensuring the safety and reliability of electrical installations. Failing to adequately support flexible conduit can lead to a variety of problems, including damage to the conduit and conductors, strain on connections, and potential safety hazards. By following the code requirements and best practices, you can help ensure that flexible conduit installations are safe, reliable, and compliant.